Today we're talking about the Hierophant. The Hierophant, as you can see, is a pope-type character, kind of a minister-type fella here. These men are looking to him for answers instead of going directly to God or the divine themselves. If I'm truly honest with you, this is what I was hoping to become. I was hoping to become somebody that was respected and looked to, and somebody that people learned from. The Hierophant is really another word for high priest. We don't need to be a minister. We can all be this person. We are all this person. We all are connected to the divine. I don't throw away this notion. I just believe that we can look at it in a new way. It's the way that I'm having to look at myself now. I'm no longer looking at myself as a minister. I'm looking at myself as a person who has a connection to the divine, a connection to others, and a connection to myself, a spiritual person, and that could be each and every one of us. So with that in mind, let's get to today's topic. Would you please state your name for the court? Missy Gordon. Could you please spell your first and last name? Melissagordon. Would you like to affirm or swear on the holy book? Swear on the book. Do you swear that the evidence you are about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Yes. Please be seated. Well, it all started when I heard a voice. The voice said specifically, stop doing prophetic word videos. And I had been doing those for 2.5 years on a weekly basis. And long before that, I had been writing down dreams, visions, and word for word. In the New Age community, we call it channeling. But in the past, I called it prophecy. And I would write down word for word. I would scribe what I was being told for another person, a message. And I'd write it on a piece of paper and I'd give it to the person. This dates back to, I remember I had a Bible that had like a metallic cover, and it was the message version and it was the message remix. It was like a teen Bible. And I remember that I wrote in the front cover, it was a prophetic word that God gave me, and I was like 14. So anyways, those are the specifics, but this is something that for me to have been told to stop doing what I felt was my purpose in this world, it was so earth-shattering. It's like on the last episode that I talked about the tower. It was a tower moment, and I remember going into my bedroom, laying down on the bed, because it was a feeling of fear. It was so much bigger than me. The voice, the knowledge, the wisdom, I listened to it. I listened to what I was told. And after that, I told my YouTube channel that I was going on a sabbatical because I wanted to get clear on what exactly this meant for me and where things were going. On my way out, I did this 30 days of worship project where every single day I recorded myself playing a song, a worship song, and that was my outro. I looked at it as, this is all my years of work, all my years of serving God. If I'm going to go out, I'm going to go out in a state of worship. So that's what happened. So after I heard the voice, I'd like to romanticize the experience, and I'd like to say that it was so fascinating, but it wasn't. It was an obsession. It became an obsession, the research that I was doing. It was day and night, reading book after book, watching interview after interview, podcast after podcast, video after video. I was insatiable. Insatiable? It was unstoppable. This force to look for answers. It was nonstop. I could not stop. I just need to reiterate this again for the record. I did not want to deconstruct. I remember thinking, I don't want this to happen to me. Yeah, okay, I'm learning some stuff. I'm reading some books here, but this is information. I'm not deconstructing my faith. I don't want to lose Jesus. I didn't want to end up like that. I remember years ago, and I don't remember what year it was. It might have been like 2018. But I remember BuzzFeed put out this big story of Michael and Lisa Gungor, about them completely leaving the faith after pastoring a mega church. And you can find it if you search it online. And I remember watching that at the time and just feeling like, how could this happen? Somebody like Michael Gungor, that I honestly felt like him and John Mark McMillan were like some of the only Christian musicians that I actually felt weren't just completely like whitewashed tombs, weren't just completely filtered and, with the G, C, D, this is the structure of the worship song, and then we crescendo here, and then we do this, we do a slow song, and we do a fast song, and then we do... I felt like Michael Gungor was always one of those people that was a little bit off the beaten path, and I always respected him. So anyways, when I saw that story come out a few years ago, it rattled me. And that was one of the antennas started to go off back then, and I was just like, what's going on here? And then we have Rob Bell. I thought I brought out his book. Yes, I did. Love Wins. This book, and I should have brought it out here. It's back with my other books, but this book was a book that came out, I think, in like 2010, maybe. Correct me if I'm wrong. But regardless, this book, I remember Francis Chan put out like a retort to this book. And I read Francis Chan's book at the time, and I remember he put out kind of a, like I said, a response. We'll put it that way, a response to this book. Because Rob Bell, he was the coolest effing youth pastor. The guy walking slowly towards the camera. He did that Numa series. There were all those different short films that the guy put out, and I remember sitting in my youth group and just thinking, my God, this Rob Bell guy, he's so freaking cool. I freaking love this guy. I remember they were up on the shelf in my house, the DVDs, and they were like a prized possession to me. This was years ago. This would have been like 2005 or something like that. I was like 14, and I remember just sitting in youth group and being like, Rob Bell. So years later, when Rob Bell came out, great movie called The Heretic. You should watch that. Wonderful, beautiful, scary movie that I was like, I'm probably going to be called a heretic as well, so I better watch the movie and get myself situated, is what I was thinking while watching that. But let's cycle back around. Rob Bell. This is a book about him basically talking about universalism, right? Let's cycle back around to who taught me through my deconstruction, or I shouldn't say even taught me, who held my hand as I felt like all my sensibilities were unraveling. I always prided myself on my mind, and I felt like I was losing my mind. I felt like my brain wasn't working. I felt like I lost my spark. I lost my oomph. I lost who I was. I felt like a shell of a person. I didn't know which end was up. Trigger warning. I felt... I'm watching myself from the outside as I'm about to say what I'm going to say, wearing a clown nose, and that's why I have the clown nose, because it helps me. It helps bring me back into my body, because all this stuff is so traumatic. Religious PTSD. Hashtag religious PTSD. Somebody click on this video and listen to it, because this is not easy doing this online. Back to my point. there have been many times throughout my life that I wrote the letter, and I planned, how I would end it all, to be Gen Z about it, how I would unalive myself. And you know what? This experience of deconstruction was so... My watch is like, take a moment. Let's have a mindfulness meditation. Let's take a moment, Missy. Yeah, we probably should take a moment. But this was so beyond anything psychologically that I had ever experienced in my entire life that, thanks for being here, Mr. Claire. That I didn't quite know. It was like walking through a dark tunnel, and you walked so far into the darkness that you couldn't find where the entrance point was. So the only... I'm just thinking, I'm seeing the reflection of me wearing the nose, and it's making me laugh. So it's working. Trigger warning. Honk honk. It's like you went into this dark cave to search for truth, right? And another great book here. I have so many to recommend, and we'll talk about them all as we go. But it's like you're walking through a dark cave, and you're searching for truth. It's like, I want to reference Plato's cave here, which was something I learned from Bradley Jersak. You're walking through a dark cave searching for truth, and you walk so far into the darkness that you can no longer see the light of the entrance point. So the only option, the only possible solution to finding the light again is to continue walking towards some sort of metaphorical exit that you don't know whether it's there or not, and you just cross your fingers and you hope, and that's where Mr. Claire came in. That's where the spiritual gifts came in, the intuition came in, and that is where I found the cards, right? Is in that dark cave of theological discovery, or, whether you want to look at it as gaining something or losing something, regardless. It is the Plato's cave analogy, and if you're unfamiliar with Plato's cave, I'm going to summarize it quickly. Imagine there are a group of people sitting in a cave, and they're looking at the wall, and behind them are the shadows that are cascading upon the wall. So they're seeing all of these figures behind, being projected from behind them onto that cave wall. So what they were seeing was their reality. Now, these prisoners were locked in this position, and all they could see was the projection of the shadows. Now, one man escaped, and he stumbled out into the light, and everything became clear to him. He saw the truth, right, Mr. Claire? He saw what was out there, and he knew he had to go back and tell about it. And he could have chosen not to, but he chose to come back and tell about it, and that's what I'm doing. I could have just gone out into the light and just been like, suck on that. I'm sorry, it's a Mean Girls reference. I want my pink shirt back. Oh my goodness. I saw that guy in the deconstruction community. The guy who played that guy. I saw him somewhere. So that's pretty funny. Iconic moment, by the way. So I don't care if people think I'm crazy. I don't want to say I don't care. Of course I care. I have a very fragile ego, and I'm just going to be honest about that up front. I look sad, I sound sad, but I'm actually happy. right? Because this is what I believe now. Universal, circular. It's not either or, it's both and. Richard Rohr. And Richard Rohr is really what, and I don't know if he'd like this or not, but he kind of gave me, subliminal permission to go here with my spiritual gifts. And I don't even know if he'd like that or not. I'm not sure. But I have extreme respect for this man and his work. And he has so many books. I actually started off with Richard Rohr when I was learning about the Enneagram. Okay, there's so much I can say here, and there's so many books that I have that I can talk about that's why we have episodes. So my closing point with this episode is actually quite simple. What happened to me? A voice spoke to me that was as clear as the clearest of waters, and I could look down to the very deep bottom and see the integrity and the purity and the truth of the matter. And I went out from that cave and I saw something, and now I'm here to tell about it. Because I gave my life to Jesus. I gave my heart, my entire worldview, I gave up everything and gladly did that. And I wanted to be a revivalist. I wanted to be like Catherine Kuhlman. I wanted to be, part of the next movement, the next revival coming in this time. And I believe I still am. That's the beautiful part about all this. I don't think I lost anything. I think more was revealed to me, and that is what I am bringing forward with my idea called Christian Plus. And it comes from the idea of Richard Rohr. I don't know if he originally came up with that phrase, either or both and. It's not either or, it's both and. Is what I've heard him reference multiple times. And then I think it was from his book Falling Upward, which was a great book as well that I recommend, that he spoke about that. He said a mature person understands that there's not a duality here. It's not either or. It's both of those things and more. And that is what I have experienced. And that is what I am here to tell about. And the other little funky side of me here, and I say that, with respect to myself, is that, hey, man, I have always been a deeply spiritual person. I have always had visions, dreams, understandings, and spiritual experiences that were unexplainable phenomena. So I, as much as I wanted to be this like theological, heady person, I could not deny the spiritual gifts that I have experienced since I was a child. So there's a lot of factors here. There's a lot going on here. So I might as well come and talk about it instead of hiding under a rock. That's why I'm here. So thank you for listening. It's been Missy Gordon here, the Metamystic, and I'll see you next time. Welcome to your reading for today's topic. I am drawn to, speak to those who are feeling grieved, are going through a grieving process. I mean, being a Christian and then evolving in that faith or deconstructing it completely, it's like the ultimate grieving process because it feels like a part of you has died. It's like somebody has died. You, in a sense, have died. Your identity has shifted. Things have changed. It's been really hard going through this grieving process, being a Christian literally all my life since I came out of the womb, and then being a minister for 10 years to going into now I'm just a person. It's very confusing. Five of Pentacles wanted to come out. The Five of Pentacles is all about feeling left out in the cold. I mean, ironically enough, they are standing outside of a church. What do we do now? So many of us were identifying so heavily with, I am a Christian. This is who I am. This is everything I am. And so let's just ask the cards, what do we do now? What do we do? Ace of Wands. This is a portal opening. This is a new adventure. This is new passion coming your way. So if you felt like you have lost your passion, your zest for life, if you feel like you used to be so passionate and now since you've gone through so much with this deconstruction, now you kind of feel like, who am I now? What do I even stand for now? Look, we have the Nine of Wands at the bottom of the deck. This is a wounded warrior card. He has been through a lot here. And he's still standing, and this is a perfect image of those of us who have gone through deconstruction and come out the other side, and we're still standing. There is hope on the horizon here. So what the first card out, what it's telling us here, is that if you have felt like passionless, right? The passion of the Christ, the power of Christ compels me. The power. If you felt like, well, where's my power now? Where's my passion now? If my faith deconstructed, here she is. Five of Wands. This is a card of, as you could see, fighting. But it's not really fighting, right? They're competing. They're competing for the prize. Let's see what else comes out before I say anything more about that. Because that scripture comes to me, like Paul was talking about. I'm leaving everything else behind, and I'm moving forward to the high calling of Christ. I'm running like somebody who runs in a race to the finish line here. Then we have the Strength card. It is like, when it is like a battle. It's gonna sound funny. And this in the past would have been total sacrilege to me, and I'm just gonna say it anyway. Those two scriptures that I mentioned, it was like this imagery that Paul gave about we are fighting to become the best, right? Like we are literally competing with one another, right? And I know not everybody is going to admit this or say this in the church, but we want to be the best. We want to get those notches on our belt. We want to be the best evangelist, the best prophetic voice, the best minister who gets the most people saved and who does all these amazing things so that we can be counted worthy, right? These people are competing. You're gonna have to come into a new mindset. That you can have something different now. You don't have to always be competing. You don't always have to try to be the best. You don't always have to try to win at all costs here, right? Another way I'm seeing this is there is strength in numbers. So if you're feeling lonely right now, get prepared to be inspired again and to have passion again. The Ace of Wands is all about having a new passion given to you, a spark igniting within you again, your hope coming back, your passion, your fire coming back. These are all fire cards. We have the Ace of Wands, the Five of Wands, and the Strength card, which is Leo, which is fire energy. This is all about our fire, getting our fire back, right? Feeling like ourselves again. Don't let anyone take your fire and your passion away from you. All that fire and passion that you used to have to like save souls and, you know, to be this amazing Christian that Jesus is proud of, right? All of that, it's all here. You're nothing's being taken from you here. What these cards are showing me is that there is strength in numbers. There is a community. The door is opening up for you. You're not alone. Even if you felt alone, even if you have felt like you've been on this journey by yourself, there are others here, power in numbers, that are here to support you on your new journey of self-discovery, finding what you are passionate about. Instead of always pressing and suppressing those passions down, now is your chance to actually do what you've always wanted to do, to be who you've always wanted to be, without this constant feeling of like, well, I can't just do what I want. You know, I have a job to do as a Christian. I need to be an upstanding individual. I need to do all these things. We can still be quote unquote upstanding individuals, but we can actually do it in the way that we feel best doing it. We don't have to follow a bunch of rules anymore. There is power in numbers here. You're not alone. There is a revolution happening on this planet. There is a new fire being ignited. There is a movement coming together as we speak. And we are part of that revolution. We are coming out of that Hierophant, out of that organized religion where we feel like, you know, there's a structure to things, and we're coming into a more passion-based way of life, where we no longer have to live in this constant state of friction of we're never good enough, and no matter what we do, we're never going to be good enough, and, you know, we're just a worm in the dirt and this and that. It's like, no. You are stronger beyond anything that you can imagine. You have gone through an intense transformation of the psyche, of the heart, of the will, and you're coming into a new time now. It's time for you to understand what you're really passionate about, what your heart belongs to. Reconnect with yourself. What are you truly passionate about before organized religion took that away from you? Who are you without all that, without all those rules? Who are you really? And coming into that and finding that there is a community available. There is strength and power in this community, in these numbers. You're not alone. You're not gonna be like this for the rest of your life. And I truly do believe that the more that we band together and the more that we truly just follow the passions of our heart, that is the true Christ way. That is what Jesus was really wanting us to be, not all this other stuff, right? You know, there's a lot more to life than suppressing ourselves and competition with one another, whether we want to admit that or not. Because I was in ministry for 10 years and I was in the back room. This is what I felt, okay? Let's band together and support each other and lift each other up in our passions and ignite that flame in one another, right? I believe that that's what this message is all about. This is power. This is fire. This is passion. And this is who we are, and it's who we've always been. And don't let anybody take that from you. The journey's been tough, I know. But now you're here, and a new portal, a new door is opening, and you're being given this, you know, staff here. It's like the budding staff of Aaron. This is like the staff that Moses used to part the Red Sea. You are being given that level of power from the divine to pursue your passions. You are being given permission to be who you've always been before religion tried to steal that away from you. All this pain, I wonder if I'll ever find my way is lost ever be found? Could a garden come up from this ground at all? You make beautiful things. You make beautiful things out of the dust. You make beautiful things. You make beautiful things out of us. All around, hope is springing up from this old ground. Out of chaos, life is being found in you. You make beautiful things. You make beautiful things out of the dust.